Auroville. À 2 pas de Pondichéry, sur la côte sud de l'Inde, cette communauté cosmopolite de 2000 habitants vient de fêter ses 40 ans. Et de célébrer la mémoire de ce philosophe visionnaire, Sri Aurobindo, qui après avoir prôné l'indépendance de l'Inde, s'est retiré pendant 30 ans dans son ashram pour explorer la conscience et donner naissance à un homme nouveau. Mère, sa compagne spirituelle, prend en charge l'ashram après son départ et poursuit son œuvre. Elle rêve d'une cité universelle qui réaliserait l'unité humaine. En 1968, sur un plateau quasi désertique, Auroville est inaugurée. Mère quitte son corps 5 ans plus tard, sans avoir vu Auroville. Mais l'impulsion est donnée. Une charte rédigée par Mère établit qu'Auroville appartient à toute l'humanité et qu'elle a pour but de bâtir l'unité humaine. Mais qui sont ces aventuriers assez fous pour avoir tout quitté afin d'incarner à l'autre bout du monde la vision d'une femme qu'ils n'avaient jamais rencontrée?
J'ai vu cette émission le 21 février 1973 et le 4 juillet 1973, j'étais à Pondichéry. J'avais vendu, donné tout ce qu'il fallait faire de façon à pouvoir être suffisamment libre. On dit souvent qu'il faut qu'il y ait un appel pour pouvoir venir. Donc il y a eu l'appel, mais il y avait la réponse aussi.
Je suis arrivé à Pondichéry et là j'ai eu l'impression, déjà quand j'ai passé la frontière indienne, c'était l'impression d'arriver chez moi.
I resigned my job, said bye to my friends, packed my goods and came to Auroville without knowing where I was going, what I would do and so on. But it was just the connection and you cannot explain in logic, you have to feel in your heart. And I felt it very, very strongly, that it was my home.
We really wanted to join something. And the vision of Auroville was amazing for us. When we first read it, we said, wow, this is also our dream. It's not just mother's dream, it's our dream.
Une fois que j'ai débarqué ici, bien sûr, j'ai lu des livres de Mère de Chaumédo et c'était suffisant pour moi pour me donner les bases de cette spiritualité et je me suis mis au travail.
I remember on Darshan days, Mother used to say sometimes, you stay in Auroville. The best place is to stay there in Auroville and work. You don't have to come into Darshan. It's okay. I'm with you all the time.
Puis quand on s'est retrouvés tous les deux comme ça, wow, c'était elle tellement présente et finalement je suis pas reparti.
What happens in that meeting or in that exchange of pure energy from one being to another? It must have cleared quite a bit of difficulties within oneself. And it definitely made the road open for the Auroville experience.
Je viens à Auroville depuis déjà 13 ans. Je passe tous les hivers parce qu'Auroville est vraiment un lieu de transmutation extraordinaire. C'est un lieu, c'est comme un chaudron. Moi, je l'appelle un chaudron magique où les gens vivent des grandes initiations.
Premier défi, s'installer sur 25 hectares de désert. Pour prendre racine, ces écologistes improvisés ont dû faire surgir la vie d'une terre sèche comme la pierre et développer des trésors d'ingéniosité.
Quand on était sur cette terre d'aspiration, il n'y avait pas d'arbres. Donc en fait, on n'avait aucune présence animale, que des hyènes de temps en temps qui venaient. Et les oiseaux, c'était des perroquets, des vols de perroquets qui passaient au-dessus de notre tête mais qui n'avaient aucun arbre pour s'arrêter. Donc on les voyait passer et puis voilà.
It was rough. It was very, very empty. It was very dry and there was sandstorms and we saw it was very, very practical to create some shade if we were going to survive. So those were those early days.
On n'a pas un travail à Auroville, voilà. On est là surtout pour vivre une autre façon avec ce qu'on est, c'est-à-dire un corps qui a besoin d'activité et tout, mais en même temps c'est la découverte d'une autre façon de faire les choses, quoi que ce soit. Alors parfois c'était creuser des trous pour planter des arbres, parfois c'était faire des massages, parfois c'était aller nettoyer tout un champ et puis c'est comme ça qu'on a commencé.
Conditions were extremely difficult, but we didn't feel it as such. You know,
I stayed in the city of Pondicherry, 10 kilometers away, would come with my cycle to Auroville, work here for 8 hours, and then go back. Or even go at noontime if I had forgotten something. It was not considered a problem, but now things have changed a little bit. We have become a little bit more soft. And that corresponds to something that is inside the people, because the outside reflects the inside, and so what Auroville is outside reflects exactly what we are inside. And if it is good, that's because we are good. If it is bad, because we are bad. You can't lie.
Deuxième défi, comment souder une communauté venant de 43 pays, de cultures et d'horizons si différents. Quel souffle les anime?
When you are here and you feel at ease with yourself, that there is a kind of a creative breeze which moves around. And some people call it different names. You can call it spirituality, but it's much nicer to say a creative breeze. That energy is available, and that's something which, after a while, if you can capture that one, it drives you.
She encourages to sit in the middle of empty fields and just sit there and see if you can see Auroville. Because it is there in the subtle physical.
Tout en elle, tout son comportement, son sourire, son regard, était une invitation à être totalement soi-même. Totalement amour, où il n'y avait rien qui pouvait contrecarrer, aucune peur en fait de se livrer. Et vraiment avec une intensité de situation, de perception, comme si tout s'arrêtait, comme si le temps s'arrêtait, comme il n'y avait aucune pensée dans ma tête, juste un état d'être ouvert et un état de perception d'amour en fait.
Slowly I discovered that I fell in love with the divinity we call the mother. How? When it happened, I don't know. But it just happened that one morning you wake up and you say, you will die for her.
Sri Aurobindo came a little bit later in the picture. He passed away already in the 50s. But where it's important is that you connect with him to his writings. And reading a small chapter, a few pages every day helps to put you in a kind of put you back after an intensive day, put you back in a certain mode of aspiration and quietness.
The mother herself had said it is sufficient to have a small place of land and to have some seeds, and it can be thrown and everything can grow from that. So Sri Aurobindo also had written already in 1911 that the solution of the problem for India was go back to the land.
She gave complete freedom to play. She encouraged the first tree nursery, fine. She talked about organic. I think that encouragement to use imagination and to not accept problems as something that are insolvable. That's the great sort of gift. We're just stewards, and that's what she was very clear on. You'll be stewards. You're stewards of Auroville, and that was a basic thing. You don't own it. And real stewardship is you are just. I have no legal claim on this, but I have no claim on saying this is a forest I made.
Aujourd'hui, le Matrimandir, lieu de méditation au cœur de la cité, est achevé. 2 millions d'arbres ont été plantés. La vie a surgi du désert. Nos apprentis d'hier sont devenus des écologistes visionnaires. Leurs innovations répondent aux défis urgents de la planète. En poursuivant le rêve de mer, Auroville serait-il devenu un projet pilote pour la Terre? La parole est aux Aurovilliens.
I'm Aviram, and I'm originally from Israel. And I'm here for 6.5 years in Auroville, and 5 years since we started Sadhana Forest, my wife Yorit and I and my daughter Osher. We really wanted to join something. And the vision of Auroville was amazing for us. When we first read it, we said, wow, this is also our dream. It's not just Mother's dream, it's our dream. And Sadhana Forest is a sort of our interpretation or our way of understanding this dream and making it true. We are trying to embody all kinds of ideas, like no exchange of money. We host the volunteers for free and they give us their work. They give the forest their work. We try to save water and behave consciously with water. We build only from local natural materials, as you can see, and live only from self-produced electricity. We have solar system, human-powered energy. Every day is a learning experience for us. Just like in the beginning of Auroville, we're trying to stop the water from running off. We harvested a lot of water here, coming from a huge catchment area. We're catching it here and percolating it down into the water table. The water table is rising and the nature is coming back, it's reviving. Birds are coming, other animals, small animals are coming, and slowly nature is regenerating here. That's the main project of Sadhana Forest, to revive the nature here. Compared to digging the soil here, most of the work is done by termites. What we do is we make a circle of coconut hair to absorb the water for the plant, and then we put soil and compost, and on top we put the plant. What happens is that the termites, they start eating the coconut hair. They make the soil very porous. They make holes in the soil and loosen it up, and then the plant can grow the roots very well inside the ground. There were no trees at all here. There was absolutely nothing. The soil was totally white and you couldn't see any living species, even not grass was not on the ground. Now, after 5 years of protecting the land and stopping the water runoff, what we can see is a lot of Australian species that came here naturally, and now they can grow because the soil conditions allow them. And you can see the small trees, the small plants that we are planting, they're all indigenous species from the tropical dry evergreen forest. That's the forest that is indigenous to coastal southeast Tamil Nadu, to this area, and is almost extinct. We protect the land without fences. And this is a very important principle of Sadhana Forest. We call it co-protection, working with villagers to protect the land, not perceiving it as it's my land, but it's everybody's forest that should sustain everybody like it was traditionally. And the way we do it is by planting these trees that you see here. Were planted by village kids from the nearby villages. Trees that the kids really like the berries of. So in August, when these trees are seeding, the village kids will come, they will eat the fruits, and on the way out of the land to the village, they will spit the pits. When they spit the pits, they spread the forest. Our energy is produced by the photovoltaic system, by the solar system, and only when we don't have enough current, when it's very cloudy and the solar system cannot produce current, then we use the human-powered electric system, our gym, so people can cycle and enjoy and talk to each other, but also do something useful by producing current for the community. Usually gyms are such a waste of energy. People cycle for nothing. And here we have a chance to make our body fit, but also to produce something.
Je m'appelle Moussine, je viens du Maroc, Oujda, petite ville à l'est. Ça fait 3 ans que je suis en Inde et je suis à Auroville depuis 1 an et demi. Et mon intérêt ou mon occupation, c'est je suis ingénieur. Et moi, avec d'autres collègues que j'ai rencontrés ici, on développe des produits dont l'objectif c'est de réduire la pauvreté et de protéger l'environnement. Un exemple spécifique qui nous intéresse, c'est l'énergie pour faire de la cuisson. la moitié de la population sur Terre utilise le bois pour la cuisine. Et c'est des quantités énormes. Quand on regarde un foyer traditionnel qui est utilisé maintenant, c'est le même qui a été utilisé, ça fait des millénaires. Je vais présenter ces foyers. C'est des foyers à bois améliorés. L'objectif, c'est de réduire la consommation de bois pour la déforestation, pour protéger l'environnement. Et on compte une réduction de 70% pour ces foyers. Comment on réalise ces performances? D'abord, on assure une combustion optimale. On utilise la chambre de combustion est isolée et on contrôle la quantité d'air qui est utilisée pour la combustion. Pour économiser le bois, on utilise le principe d'un manteau. Le manteau, il entoure la marmite et on laisse un espace bien contrôlé entre la marmite et le manteau. Et ceci nous permet d'économiser le bois. Parce qu'avec le manteau, on augmente d'une façon spectaculaire la quantité d'énergie qui est passée à la marmite comparé au foyer traditionnel où l'énergie est perdue dans l'air.
Behind us is the Eco Dome. We're trying to build in a method that was developed by architect Nader Khalili in California. This is a very sturdy, very fast, very cheap to build building. And we're doing it with our volunteers, with Sadna Forest volunteers. We're mixing clay and sand with lime and making a mixture which is wet enough to then cure on the building and become very hard and hold the weight of the building. And it becomes a very sturdy building that can last in very severe earthquakes and other environmental pressures, weather pressures. We're using it for a retreat house. We want to enable volunteers in Sadna Forest that have been with us for a long time to step out of the community a little bit, to meditate, to relax. There's a water body just near, so they will enjoy that. And just for 1 or 2 weeks, and then they can come back into the community and get involved again with so many people and so much work. We started this project as a project to plant trees. And now, after 5 years, we realize that, in the words of one of our volunteers, it's a forest to grow people, not just a forest to grow trees. And that's a very important aspect of the project. People, after being here, make real changes to their life, to their understanding of life. And that's as important as planting the trees or conserving the water here.
Je suis très heureux d'être ici parce qu'ici on apprend beaucoup de choses au niveau de la vie, on réapprend la vie en commun et ça c'est assez intéressant. On réapprend à cuisiner ensemble, à vivre ensemble, à faire attention aux autres, à faire attention à l'environnement. C'est toute une approche globale d'une micro-société et en plus reliée à la nature, donc je pense que on passe de très riches moments. Comme à Auroville, il y a énormément de gens qui viennent de plein de pays dans le monde, donc on a plusieurs nationalités qui sont représentées. Et ce qui est intéressant de se rendre compte, c'est que sur souvent un très court laps de temps, on peut créer des affinités très fortes. Vu qu'on se retrouve dans un endroit commun et qu'on vient pour partager la même chose, il y a très rapidement des affinités qui se créent. Et donc du coup, ce qu'on appelle nationalité évolue en quelque chose de plus universel. Et finalement, c'est pas qu'elles s'annulent, mais elles s'enrichissent de quelque chose de beaucoup plus unitaire et je trouve ça magique. C'est un petit peu la magie d'Auroville et la magie de Sadna Forest.
A friend of ours, Steve Whitman, has brought us to this understanding that this is a model, not a single project. And now we're thinking of maybe replicating this model in Senegal. in West Africa. This is also a very arid place, just like Sadhana Forest was 5 years before, that we can plant trees and enhance natural regeneration, conserve water, and hopefully create meaningful and collaborative relationship with local people. And we see that as a sort of a ripple effect that will go far beyond this specific land, and carrying the message of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, who we came here for.
Mon parcours a démarré en fait quand j'étais déjà adolescent. J'ai eu une prise de conscience à ce moment-là très puissante que ce que je ressentais intérieurement avait beaucoup plus de vérité que ce qu'on me disait en fait qui était la vérité. Donc un jour, je suis tombé sur l'aventure de la conscience. C'était réellement une prise de conscience que l'homme retrouvait sa dimension intérieure. Donc j'ai décidé à ce moment-là qu'un jour j'irai à Pondichéry pour rencontrer celle qui continuait l'œuvre de Sri Aurobindo, donc la mère. Et au bout de 3 jours, j'ai eu une rencontre avec Roger Anger, donc qui est l'architecte d'Auroville, et il me dit mais des types comme toi, on a besoin pour construire Auroville. C'est vraiment quelque chose qui est une aventure qui doit sûrement te plaire et qui pourrait répondre à tes attentes. Et là intérieurement, j'ai senti que c'était la réponse. Mais je l'ai senti intérieurement. Ce n'était pas une réponse mentale, c'était vraiment une réponse vraiment profonde. En ce qui concerne l'étape par rapport à l'eau et l'activité d'aquadine, en fait, là, tout a commencé en 1994 avec là aussi un livre qui s'appelait L'eau, le miracle oublié de Jacques Collin. D'un seul coup, il y avait comme une espèce de cohérence fondamentale pour nous faire comprendre que l'eau était donc, dans sa capacité de mémorisation de l'information, avait comme une forme d'intégralité, en passant par le cosmos, par la nature, donc toute la biosphère, et par l'intérieur de la Terre, donc toute la partie minérale, donc la Terre nourricière. Et que tout ça s'était capturé dans cette eau, dans cette molécule d'eau. Dans ce livre de Jacques Collin, il parlait de beaucoup de précurseurs et de leurs travaux, dont Marcel Violet en particulier, puisque pour moi après ça a été la technologie et le concept de Marcel Violet qu'on a repris pour faire nos travaux de recherche et développer avec les applications. Là c'est l'atelier de production des fontaines mélusines, donc il y a plusieurs étapes dans la production. On a d'abord les fontaines entières quand elles sont finies, et après on passe à différentes étapes. Donc là, on a la partie, en fait, le derrière de la fontaine dans lequel il y a plusieurs étages. Il y a l'étage de dynamisation et l'étage de purification avec tous ces éléments. Pour la purification, donc après, l'eau arrive du robinet et est injectée sous pression à travers tout un système de filtres. Il y a une préfiltration avec un sédiment et un charbon actif. Donc le sédiment permet la partie purification des particules physiques. Le charbon actif plus la partie chimique avec les éléments chlore, pesticides. La membrane d'osmose inverse qui, elle, enlève tous les éléments jusqu'aux nitrates, aux ions, sodium. On peut en fait purifier de l'eau salée et faire de l'eau douce et les solides dissous. Et on a la partie, le biofiltre, ce qu'on appelle, qui en dernier réinfuse des courants de très haute fréquence, donc la partie d'énergie dans l'eau, à travers donc ce petit fil qui est en dessous. L'eau passe et après s'écoule par cette petite pièce-là dans le réservoir où il y a à peu près 7 litres d'eau. Et l'eau reste là et continue sa dynamisation en continu avec cette petite spire d'argent qui permet en fait la dynamisation. et l'infusion aussi de colloïdes d'argent, qui sont très importants pour la santé. Donc ça, c'est la partie purification de l'eau. Et après, on a la partie dynamisation. Donc dans cet étage, on a les modules de dynamisation, suivant le concept Marcel-Violet, avec un module, un oscillateur, qui permet de filtrer ces fréquences. On a un petit module avec le condensateur à cire d'abeille, qui lui, en fait, fait un peu le travail le plus profond dans la fréquence, retient dans la cire d'abeille cet élément d'une fréquence extrêmement haute et la restitue après à l'eau. Et le troisième module, c'est le module lumière et son, qui permet de restituer à l'eau, comme on va le voir tout à l'heure, une information musicale à travers des photons lumineux. Donc là, on a les trois modules qui viennent dessous la machine et qui permettent la dynamisation et l'information. Ces machines donc, ont la possibilité, quand l'eau a rempli le conteneur, de lui donner cette information sonore à travers ces petites LED lumineuses de couleur bleue. La fréquence, le bleu a aussi une importance. Et ce petit appareil, c'est un objectiveur pour montrer que dans l'eau, en effet, il y a une information musicale qu'on n'entend pas à l'heure actuelle parce qu'elle est conduite par le rayon lumineux, donc par les photons. Donc là, on a une petite cellule photoélectrique qui enregistre le rayon électromagnétique autour de la machine et le restitue en ondes sonores. Donc là, on met en route. Voilà. Donc si je mets ma main devant, je coupe le rayonnement et je coupe le son. Et là, ça ne marche pas. Voilà, donc on a jusqu'ici à peu près. Voilà. Donc là, ça permet en fait d'objectiver cette information musicale dans l'eau et qui a un rayonnement de 1 mètre, 1 mètre et demi autour de la machine. Oui, donc là, on a réalisé cette machine qui est un purificateur d'eau avec la biodynamisation, donc le travail d'aquadine, sous la demande de Photosynthesia pour la communauté de Sadhana Forest, donc qui a beaucoup d'étudiants et qui n'a pas le courant électrique mais est alimenté par l'énergie solaire. Donc cette machine a été étudiée en fonction des besoins de Sadhana Forest particuliers, dont Aviram s'occupe, on a la charge, et en fait on l'a étudiée donc avec un système de purification avec des ultraviolets, avec la dynamisation qui est connectée directement à une antenne qui nous permet de recevoir ces ondes cosmiques qui sont à la base de notre système de biodynamisation. Donc cette machine a la capacité de faire à peu près 150 litres à 250 litres à l'heure, donc environ 1000 litres par jour, et donne une eau qui est purifiée, dynamisée, et qui a donc des qualités en fait vraiment idéales un petit peu pour la santé, on peut dire. Donc là on a une fontaine de distribution publique qu'on a fait il y a à peu près 8 ans. Il y en a une quarantaine à Auroville qui sont réparties dans les écoles, dans les lieux publics. Donc elle est toujours basée sur le même principe, c'est-à-dire purification et dynamisation. Et on adapte la technologie suivant les points, les qualités d'eau et les endroits de distribution aussi eux-mêmes. La distribution de cette eau est gratuite, c'est un service. Donc on le fait dans les endroits où beaucoup de gens peuvent passer, avoir accès, 24 heures sur 24, puisque le robinet est en fait extérieur et la purification se fait à l'intérieur.
We are in a village called Sanjeev Nagar, and this belongs to the Pondicherry Union Territory. This is one of the village we have installed water purifying equipments, and this installation is able to produce 7,500 liters per day, and this amount of water can be benefited for 2,500 members. 200 50 families are benefiting in this village. This is a women's welfare group who maintain this installation.
எங்களுக்கே பழைய தண்ணிக்கும் இந்த தண்ணிக்கும் நிறைய டிஃபரன்ஸ் இப்போ நாங்கள் தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். பழையபடி அந்த தண்ணி தான் குடிச்சிட்டு இருந்தோம். ஆனால் அதனோட இது வித்தியாசத்தை நாங்கள் இப்போ தான் பார்க்குறோம். இந்த தண்ணி குடிச்சதுக்கப்புறம் அந்த தண்ணி எவ்வளோ மோசமான தண்ணி அப்படின்ட்டு நாங்கள் தெரியுது.
So they have started to realize the quality of water they were drinking previously and the quality of water drinking now. They see the difference in health and also their own personal life. Before they used to have a very often cold and other infection. Now they don't have anymore.
And the children?
And the children are very good in their health also. In 2004, after the tsunami, the water in the water table has got contaminated. We have started installing water purifying equipment on the coastal areas in different villages, like even Pondicherry territory as well Tamil Nadu territory.
D'une façon générale, l'eau renforce le système immunitaire et chacun, donc à sa manière, suivant ses faiblesses, suivant ses petits problèmes, retrouve une santé. Et ça, on a pu le constater donc, au fur et à mesure de toutes ces années d'expérimentation à Auroville, donc sur les gens, les résidents d'Auroville, mais aussi sur de nombreux visiteurs qui venaient à Auroville et qui en étaient extrêmement satisfaits. Par rapport à la science et la reconnaissance scientifique, c'est sûr qu'il est difficile d'imaginer qu'un jour on puisse tout rationaliser. Le domaine du vivant est un domaine qui, par sa propre définition, en fait, ne peut pas être rationalisé. On va de plus en plus arriver à des possibilités d'identification. Mais de là à dire qu'on va pouvoir le rationaliser et le mettre en équation, j'ai des doutes. Il restera toujours une part d'imprévu, une part d'impondérable, des secrets qui seront toujours en fait une quête que l'homme portera en lui-même dans cette recherche du secret de la vie.
My name is Bernard. I came to Auroville in 1975. I came from the Flanders in Belgium, and I have been working mainly in agriculture and gardening since '78. I started in organic farming in '78. In the beginning of Auroville, people felt that the earth is expecting something, and the people started taking care of that earth by doing soil and water conservation, planting trees, also to have some shade, of course, because we were standing in the full sun. So you need some shade, and then that regenerate the forest, it produce your biomass, it produce wood for building a hut or for a house, you know. So this whole approach to regenerate the land, to give something back to modern nature, and the mother was behind it. The question of soil is really a very interesting one, because here in this place we don't have cultivatable soil as such. It has been washed away, and the cultivatable soil, the top layer of soil, is actually in the Bay of Bengal. So what we have is a substrata of pebbles and stones which form about 40 to 60% of the soil. Below that we have an impermeable clay layer which prevents all rainwater, for instance, from going down. And so in the rainy season there is a lot of erosion, and that's why our land is actually was in a very bad state, which is very representative because about 1/6 of India is in that condition.
So I'd like to show you the nature of the land. It's extremely stony. There are laterite chunks, there are pebbles. These pebbles were created by a river that flowed here 20 million years ago. and now the strata which indicates the river is exposed to the surface because of erosion. It used to be covered by lush vegetation which has been destroyed. We don't exactly know when the destruction started, but basically from devegetation, removing the forest cover.
So what we are doing actually to regenerate this impossible land is one thing. We have identified some plants which could grow on this land without any help whatsoever. So there is no effort except bringing the seeds and broadcasting the seeds. They will produce leaf which will fall on the soil. These leaves will become food for all kinds of creatures, macrofauna and microfauna, and it will produce woody material. All this can be recycled. All this is biomass and can be recycled later on in a biomass that is suitable for our stomachs. So the principle is actually not so complicated, and we observe how nature works with this vegetation, and we try to distill the lessons which are there in nature and do it in the garden.
What is it, Deepika? Explain to us. These are the leaves of acacias that we've chopped manually by hand, and this is what we do. This is the way we start our soil building process. This is the soil that we've built up using the methods that I just told you about. Basically just with acacia leaves, dodonea leaves and twigs chopped up, silt collected from the ponds, and layers, 12 of each. After setting up the 12 layers, we let it digest for 3 months, and after 3 months it's ready to support any crop, any cultivated plant. You get a layer of about 6 inches, and that's what most cultivated plants need in order to grow. And this is what we aim at, to just create 6 inches of good soil. And look at the nature of the leaves. Everything is healthy. It can support any cultivated plant. The soil is built up, but it remains loose and moist, and it's perfect for cultivated plants. It's all built up above the ground. There's no digging. We don't use any digging. We use very simple methods to keep our varieties pure. This is necessary because we grow a huge diversity of plants of the same species, varieties of the same species. Like if you have 8 or 9 different eggplants, it's very important to isolate them with mosquito nets in order to keep them pure. So I would like to show to people that this work, which is normally done by professionals, can also be done at home in a very simple way by just one person who is interested to do it. We focus a lot on conserving these traditional varieties here in this garden, and we consume a lot ourselves, but our main interest is in building up this plant collection, the seed collection, and sharing these seeds with farmers and gardeners. Here are some of the packets that we have ready to give to people who come and visit us, and it's sort of started in the spirit of a seed exchange, a seed sharing, because after all, seeds are gifts that we've received from nature and tradition, and they are meant to be shared and exchanged.
Another thing that we discovered was terra preta, the magic soil of the Amazon in Brazil. That was really some 3-4 years ago, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we came across this phenomenon called terra preta, which means dark soil, terra preta do Indio, dark soil of the Indians. One has to know that the Amazon actually is growing on the poorest soil in the world. There's the highest and the densest vegetation is growing on the poorest soil, which is an explication of a tropical system to follow. The people there managed, without bringing things from outside, to regenerate the land and to make it into the most fertile, self-sustaining soil in the world, living soil, regenerating, self-enriching soil. So things which we consider impossible, they did it. What we know in Terra Preta, the main ingredient is charcoal. How this charcoal was made, we also know. And there is where most of the established research stops. But in Terra Preta we also find pottery, pots, a lot of broken pots. And if you observe the strata of Terra Preta, my impression is these pottery pieces were put. It's not pieces that were thrown away. They were put. So these pottery charts, due to the content of certain rock elements, may have an influence, a magnetic influence. So I'm trying to do this. I make pottery shards, I make pottery pieces which are paramagnetic and which is also a representative of the silica with the carbon, and both elements are considered essential for the appearance of life on the planet. Terra Preta holds always its own fertility.
Here we have a small trial plots with Terra Preta. At least what I have understood from Terra Preta. This trial plots, it's not a scientific station, it's not a research station, it's what a farmer could do on a small scale without extra investment. So in this first bed we have incorporated charcoal in the soil, about half meter deep. In this we did exactly the same thing, but we did not incorporate charcoal. We also dug half meter deep and made the earth loose. That's how we make the charcoal, and we crush it a little bit and mix it in the soil. You can see the pieces here. It's actually the same percentage as we find in Terra Preta, about 10% of the soil mass. As I said, at the early stage you can definitely see these plants are doing much better than here, where we have done the same manipulations. So we will have to wait a little bit more time, but the overall impression is undeniable in favor of the charcoal. Here, just like in Terra Preta, we have incorporated not only the charcoal, you see some charcoal pieces, but we have also incorporated some pottery. So it is only visible in the radish. The radish had a very advanced development in this plot, which they don't have in the side plots. It may be difficult to show it on the camera, but it is definitely there. Obviously seeing, you can see the size of the real leaf of the radish which has come. This is very well developed.
One of the things also we have tried, and which fits a little bit in our approach, is the sea. And the trials that I have done have proven that seawater can effectively be used as a fertilizing agent in gardening.
It's like a mustardy kind of thing. Why?
Because if you look at
This is better than this one.
My name is Jos, and I grew up in a very beautiful island of Tasmania in Australia, full of pristine forests. And then I left and traveled the world and lived in Europe and many other countries, and through those heady days of the 60s, and ended up in India. I was in Paris in 68, so I know that's where we came from, refugees from the 60s. then I came across this group of pioneers in Pondicherry, and starting the experiment of Auroville, following that vision of this wonderful lady, the mother, and it spoke to me. It spoke to me very much. And so in '69 I came to Auroville, moved out to Auroville. The mother said, yes, you go and live there. I knew I wanted to go back to work with the world, with the planet, with the soil, and make something beautiful. But it was not until I came to Auroville and felt the vision of the mother, the dream of the mother, the charter of Auroville, that it gave the power to go in all directions, to see a holistic way of, let's say, development too. We quite early discovered the remnant forests, the remnant patches of vegetation of the indigenous forest of this area. This was the tropical dry evergreen. It's something quite unique to this coast, just from north of Madras down to Sri Lanka, and it's definitely the most endangered ecosystem in India. And these we discovered, we visited, we went there when the seed was ready, we collected the seed, we worked out how to germinate it, and started the nurseries. And the nursery started in '73, the year I came here. We've had a nursery in Pichandicolan every year since 1973. This year we grew 50,000 seedlings, because the future is in seeds. So, learning about these forests, going and feeling them, and often, as I said, they're sacred groves, so they're very beautiful places, quite protected. That's where the spirits still abide. Learning the matrix of tree and bush and creeper, it's very thick, and ground cover and orchids. And from the beginning we started bringing that back. We didn't just plant trees. So it took a few decades to learn our song a bit, and learning the song through planting and working with the energies to create this system of Pichandicolan. Then we had a forest. We had a forest that people were interested in, and they would come and say, wow, could you help us do something like that? Or they might say, we had forests like this, but the local leaders, they cut it down, or not so long ago, they could remember. So then we had the answers about how to bring it back. The technology, the seeds, the germination techniques, the nursery techniques, and the plantation or the protection techniques. And then how much water, how much mulching, how much these techniques we could put into training programs. So many, many journeys outside of Auroville. And you started to see absolutely living the knowledge about the bioresources of the area. We spent a lot of time in those villages, but realizing it wasn't enough to just encourage people to plant trees, please plant trees, and make beautiful spaces if they were still perhaps economically, or they were sometimes just hungry and they were illiterate. And we've got a model out there in a very ordinary village in Tamil Nadu, but many Aurovillians have participated in that. We've got windmills, we've got solar. The innovative Auroville education work has been transplanted out there. The health programs from Auroville are out there. At the same time that we're continuing with encouraging the traditional health. On another front, Pichandicolan, as other Aurovillians, are working in cities like Chennai. Aurovillians, as you know, are working in many parts of India and elsewhere in the world. People work in Ladakh, in Africa. In Chennai a few years ago, they asked us to help with restoring a wetland and creating a park. But it's not just taking it on as creating a park, it's actually talking about the cleaning up of the entire Chennai waterways. It's looking at it holistically and reminding in each forum that you can't take things separately and just rebuild a slum there or do a bridge here. Let's integrate it. And that is what Auroville, I think, has taught us.
Je suis architecte de formation de France. Et au fil de mes études en France, j'ai été vraiment poussé pour apprendre des technologies qui sont appropriées, qui sont avec des matériaux locaux. Et c'est ce qui m'a amené à me rapprocher de la construction en terre, donc d'utiliser de la terre pour construire. Et c'est pour ça que j'ai fait un post-diplôme sur l'architecture de terre en France, à Grenoble. En 89, j'ai dû passer au plus 1 journée et demie à Auroville. Et l'impression que j'ai eue tout de suite, c'était la place où je devais être. Et donc j'ai trouvé qu'à Auroville, je pouvais à la fois continuer mon travail dans la construction en terre, dans l'architecture de terre, aussi avoir cette recherche spirituelle qui était ce à quoi je voulais. Et je travaille surtout à ce qu'on appelle le bloc de terre comprimé stabilisé, qui est un bloc qui est comprimé avec une machine, avec un petit peu de ciment, qui permet d'avoir des blocs qui sont plus résistants que les briques cuites des villages, donc plus écologiques que les briques cuites, parce qu'on n'a pas besoin de les cuire. La terre a prouvé au fil des siècles, dans tous les pays du monde, qu'elle a de très grandes qualités de confort, à la fois thermique, à la fois hydrique, et que c'est un matériau totalement intégré dans l'environnement où on est. En France, par exemple, les gens des régions d'Auvergne, de Drôme, du Dauphiné, du Rhône, ils savent qu'une maison en terre est confortable en été et en hiver parce qu'elle régule la température, sans même trop chauffer. Et dans des pays tropicaux comme ici aussi, avec une bonne ventilation, ces bâtiments sont beaucoup plus performants que des bâtiments en béton ou briques cuites. Ici, on fait tout le processus à la main. Donc on mélange ça à la main, on ajoute de l'eau. On va ensuite mettre la terre qui a été mélangée avec du ciment dans une machine qu'on compresse à la main. Ici, nous sommes sur un projet qui s'appelle Réalisation. C'est un projet de 17 appartements. Et maintenant, nous commençons à faire les fondations de 5 appartements. Donc ce qu'on fait ici, c'est qu'on creuse les fondations de façon très précise. Ensuite, cette terre, on la tamise et on la met dans une boîte qui va permettre de mesurer 500 litres de terre. Une fois que c'est mélangé avec l'eau, on la met dans la fondation comme ceci et on va damer la terre qu'on a prise des fondations. Et ça, c'est pour ça que c'est une technique qui est très intéressante parce qu'on utilise la terre du chantier pour faire les propres fondations de la maison. On a juste amené un petit peu de sable, un petit peu de ciment et la terre vient du chantier lui-même, de la fondation même. On a reçu beaucoup de gens de 58 pays pour se former ici. Et depuis 2002, je suis le représentant pour l'Asie de la chaire UNESCO Architecture de terre. Ce label, c'était un élément de crédibilité pour diffuser nos savoirs dans le monde entier. Je donne les moyens aux gens de construire eux-mêmes leur propre habitat. Pour moi, l'habitat, ça va de maisons, ça va aux écoles, ça va à des temples, à des mosquées. En septembre dernier, avec un village du Népal, on a fait une école en 20 jours. Et donc ça, c'était très très fort pour moi comme expérience parce qu'au moins, j'ai pu faire ce que je cherchais depuis 20 ans, c'est de construire avec des gens pour eux et qu'eux construisent qu'eux construisent pour eux.
My name is Stancy. I come from Belgium, from the capital of Europe, Brussels. And together with my partner and wife, we are here for the last 31 years in Auroville. In the beginning, when there was actually not much to do and the whole landscape was pretty empty, no shelter, no water supply. The only two things that were available as continuous work was actually either working on Matrimandir or during monsoon working on the land. Most importantly, to plant trees. When the distance is far, you cannot always do it with wheelbarrows or by hand. They came animals, there came bullocks, and then afterwards there came cows. And from cows, it's a very small step to go over to renewable energy because cows produce cow dung. And with cow dung, you can use and make use for making energy in a biogas. And that's actually the beginning how I got involved in renewable energy by constructing, first for ourselves, a biogas and then for the community. A couple of years later, that activity was put together with windmills, solar cookers, solar water heaters, and biogas plants, and that was actually the beginning of the Auroville Center for Scientific Research. In renewable energy, there is especially one area which we are at the moment trying to concentrate. In India itself, there are 86 million households who still depend on kerosene lighting for all their needs. And kerosene is not cheap. It's, you spend quite a bit of money every household. And these are the most poorest households in India. The technology today in the world is there. We have LED, we have solar lamps, we have everything that is necessary. So our role is to put together such a lantern which would be able to give a replacement for the kerosene and which would give them a permanent light in the households. And the effort started a couple of years ago and is well on the way. We are gathering support from big industrial companies, but also NGOs, individuals who work on that project. So in the next few years, I hope that this wheel can turn by itself, and that would be quite a satisfaction if we have been able to make that wheel roll and be the catalyzer and the hub.
My name is Uma. I'm 38 years old. I am born in Gaya, Bodh Gaya, where Gautam Buddha got enlightened. My education happened in Delhi. I am educated as a fashion designer. I came to Auroville 12 years back to do a design project. Since then, I'm here. I just fell in love. Being in Auroville, first thing happened to me was I learned to connect to my global family. As all of us as an individual, we are so used to me, my husband, my children, my family. My family was no more 9 people in my biological family. My family now is 2,000 people from 43 nationalities. And I feel it's such a beautiful thing to happen to one's life. I feel so extremely proud. And people, when they ask me, are you staying with your family in Auroville? I say, of course, yes. And how many are there? 2,000. So 2,000? What are you talking? I said 43 nationality, 2,000 people, and that's my family, and I'm extremely proud of them. I begin to think differently. The global war problems were my problem. The global achievement was our achievement. And during all this was happening, we also had tsunami. And we wanted to do something for the people. And I was asking myself, can business take social responsibility and what that would be? Tsunamika was born in that. When there was a destruction in front of that, everybody was displaced and we needed to do something. And I really sincerely wanted to hold hand and say, I'm with you. 600 ladies in 7 villages were taught to make a little doll which was also industrial waste recycling. Today, these 600 ladies had made more than 2 million dolls. It has traveled to more than 60 countries across the planet. Not a single doll was ever given to people against a price. She just traveled. She made people smile. She made people cry. She made people come together. She created a family called Tsunamika family. And it happened because Auroville was holding as a parent body. It happened for me because Auroville is my family. The last project we are running is with very poor communities, cotton farmers in Tamil Nadu. We are trying to help them go organic. Do we know that cotton is one of the most corrupted crash crop of humanity? Do we know that the thousands of tons of pesticide we have dumped into our water body and our soil and the air through cotton? Do we know that what we have done to as a human greed to this little beautiful cloth called cotton? Do we have hope today? We do have. And I see the hope is organic cotton. We are investing a huge amount of time and energy to make 300 farmers go organic and certified them nationally. They are so poor they cannot do it themselves. We are trying to work with them to just present a project which can be a role model for other people to look at. And for me, that's Auroville.
Pendant les 40 premières années, il y a eu une dichotomie entre les amoureux de la nature, ceux qui ont planté les arbres, et ceux qui devaient créer la ville. Là, il y a une grande dualité, et le fait de passer sur le nœud nord, et qui est Jupiter, et que la Lune arrive sur Jupiter, c'est l'opportunité de réconcilier les amoureux de la nature avec les constructeurs de la ville. Ça, c'est vraiment le temps de faire la synthèse, de faire l'unité. Et comme Mère parle qu'il va falloir l'unité pour amener à l'unité mondiale, cette unification de ces deux directions, dans Auroville est essentielle pour créer le Grand Auroville. Sur la demande de Mère, Roger Anger a reçu la vision qu'il fallait faire une galaxie et donc une forme spiralée pour cette ville nouvelle. La spirale est vraiment l'énergie de transmutation. C'est l'énergie qui permet de passer d'une dimension à une autre dimension.
La spirale, c'est un élément pour nous très important à travailler avec. Parce que la spirale, comme vous savez bien, ça se retrouve dans les microcosmes et dans les macrocosmes. Et plus on y travaille, plus on y voit que c'est une force universelle de vie à découvrir, qui peut avoir aussi des moments difficiles, mais qui a une grande poussée évolutive. Donc, qu'une ville se forme déjà avec ça, ça veut souligner une recherche aussi d'une énergie qui va vers le centre de soi-même et aussi bien s'élargit et irradie. La ville universelle, envisagée pour 50 000 personnes, est composée de 4 zones. La zone résidentielle, la plus grande, la zone internationale, la zone industrielle et la zone culturelle. Tout ça se concentre vers le centre, le Matrimandir, que c'est un centre de connaissance de soi. Il y a aussi une traduction concrète du besoin de l'être humain de se transformer. de passer à un autre moment de son évolution consciente. Et c'est le cœur véritable de l'expérience d'Auroville. Planter des arbres, faire une ville écologique, c'est très bien. Mais ça, ce n'est que l'instrument pour arriver à une autre destination.
Pour moi, Mère, elle nous a confié une mission de construire une ville spirituelle, la première ville spirituelle, pour permettre de créer le berceau d'un être nouveau. On ne sait même pas si tous les gens qui participent à cette construction seront ces êtres ou non. Mais elle attend depuis 40 ans, elle a même attendu d'attendre qu'on construise cette ville pour qu'il y ait un jour 50 000 personnes qui se mettent ensemble à travailler sur cette transformation et à faire descendre cette force à travers la matière. Donc notre rôle, quand on est conscient de ça, on n'a aucun droit, on n'a que des tâches, c'est justement d'assumer ce rôle de construire cette ville. Et bien évidemment, quand on a le minimum de conscience, cette ville, elle se voudra écologique, elle se voudra sur tous les plans la meilleure possible, mais avant tout, elle se veut spirituelle.
Learning from, from the living, not just from, books or just living and bringing the consciousness into every action that you do. And that's what we're trying to do here. That's what we're trying to live here. And it's difficult. It's difficult to live like that, where you have to be conscious to everything you're doing. It's much easier to say, that doesn't matter, to just push it aside and do what you're used to, what you're educated to do from before. But this is the spiritual path that we chose, that requires attention to every detail, to every thought, to every action.
Over the years, you learn that all these systems are tools and instruments for us. But actually, if we speak about implementing a next step, which we are looking forward for humanity, or trying to get on a higher level, or a more complete, not higher, but a more complete level of consciousness, it's definitely not an external instrument that will change us. It's something else. And the long stay in Auroville and the maturing, the personal maturing process that we all undergo one way or the other, makes you aware that the outer is an instrument, but the most important is to develop that inner side.
And what I see more and more, the more you expand outside, the more deeper you have to go inside. If it's not there, you are out. Don't play the game. You cannot play the game. And this is a very serious thing. We got to understand that. That more we expand outside, more we have to dive inside. And if that outer and inner is not balanced, you cannot play the game. Impossible. Having a divine presence and having that atmosphere around, surely it helps. There's no doubt.
Changing ourselves, it's a very long exercise, and we will need lots of grace in order to effect that one. So let's hope that the grace will be able to work in time before the planet disappears.
The new people are gardeners. I think we've all got a cellular memory of whether it is Brindavan or Eden or in any tradition. And it's not so much going back, it's going forward. And we can do everything we are doing now but in the context of a gardener. And this, yeah, I think the new people are gardeners.
For me, the next step and the new evolution, or really that is something which is not visible. Connecting to the higher consciousness and making yourself ready as a channel to receive it and act. Without it, you can go and sit in meditation, but right now, meditation is in action. And Auroville is a land for the applied spirituality. And that's what it has to be more and more, and not just in Auroville, but everywhere. And there is no hope. There is no way. Humanity cannot function the way we are functioning for sure. To all our scientists, to all our doctors, to all our business people, to all our everybody in the society had to be or the center channel of the higher consciousness. Wherever we get it, we get it. Does not really matter where you get it. You get to go to the point.
Matrimandir, we have worked within the community for 40 years to finish it, for 36 or 37 years to really complete it. And we know what Mother told us about it, which she said, the sooner Matrimandir is finished, the better for all the Aurovillians. The first effect was actually more problems for the community than solving, than a step forward. What we found is that suddenly there was a huge deluge, an avalanche of problems all over, with the land, within ourselves, donations, everything. I hope that only a very temporary phase in our community life of Auroville, and that these things are necessary to come out. It's necessary, so we have to work through them, and I hope that Matrimandir is that dynamo of that change.
Bringing the femininity in the front, we have Matrimandir in the center of Auroville. It's nothing else but that acknowledging the femininity in the center of the township. Acknowledging the mother in the center of the township. It's only mother who knows how to give her child unconditionally. Nobody else knows. And she is symbol of that love. She is also symbol of hope. And she was given to the world by the community where everybody thought is over. They are dead. They were not dead. They woke up again and they rewrote their story of love and hope and brotherhood and this human unity in a very, very beautiful, very, very naive, but very soft, very powerful, and extremely delicate in a way.
Quand on est au Matrimandir, on peut plonger à l'intérieur, mais on peut plonger aussi à l'extérieur. Et ces 12 colonnes, c'est comme si c'était 12 rayons qui vous permettent d'aller dans l'univers tout entier. Mère nous a donné, à nous, Aurovilliens, et à tous ceux qu'elle aime, elle nous a donné ce qu'elle appelle le mantra. Om, c'est d'abord bien sûr le son primordial, l'essence même, c'est l'esprit, c'est le divin, Om. Namo, c'est la dévotion, c'est se tourner à nouveau vers le divin, Namo. Et Bhagavate, c'est rends-moi divin. Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.